Hello everyone, this is Pico Boy. Today I'm going to introduce you a VTuber application called VRoid. You can go to this website, VRoid.com. What it is, it's a VTuber character creation platform. This application, you can get it for free. You can also find the English website if you go to the very bottom and go to English. Or you can type the website /en. So come here, they have different versions of the applications, but what we want to check out is the VRoid Studio. Click Learn More, and you can go to Download. They have a Windows version and an OS X version. I'm on a Mac right now, so I've went ahead and downloaded the Mac version, and it's already on my computer. So once you have that installed and you open up the platform, it's going to look like this. What you have are sample avatars. They have some pretty cool ones. It's been a while since I've made few characters of my own. It's still compatible. These are actually the ones I made before. This is myself here. The sample avatars, they give you a good idea of what kind of things you can do within this free application. And there are some complex ones that will tell you that you might be able to find them on the VRoid Hub, which is the marketplace where people are creating characters. So you can see here, some of these have very unique characteristics. Once I learn more, I'll let you know how these tools are implemented in different applications and services. Because of the free nature, the options you have are fairly limited. Okay? So here's the character. It's best that you use your mouse because all of the controls are based on the mouse left and right. So if you're on a Mac, you might have some struggle controlling. Alright, so to zoom in, you can scroll back and forth. To move your character around, you can press shift and left click. On this screen, I'm trying to rotate, but the character isn't moving, so let's see what we can do from here. On the face editor, you have all the features: eyes, shape of eyes, eyebrows, nose, mouth, ears, and the face contour. You can go ahead and stay on all. Then you can see all of the parameters. So you have the direction of how the eyes slant, lift. If you scroll down, you can see the eye position, proximity, width, narrowness, height. You can adjust the iris. So if you zoom in and move your character down, you can actually go ahead and change the size of these irises. The iris is a texture of its own with its anime style, but changing the size impacts how it can look. Narrowness, so it starts from a circle shape. You can make it much more narrow like this, and you can change the height. That just made the height higher, I guess. But the shortness, so each one has height and shortness, which if you bring the parameters up both to 1, then they kind of cancel each other out and go back. So shortness is how short you want. So you actually get shortness on the shortness parameter. So instead of having a 0 in the middle and you go up and left, it has two different values for going higher and going lower. So a little bit narrow on this iris is kind of what I liked. You can go ahead and change whatever you want, but this is basically the basic standing stance, the default posture you're gonna have on when you start importing your character to different platforms. So eyes, nose, you can adjust all the features that we have here. You can also adjust the texture, and here you'll see that each of the features has its own texture up here. So like the eyebrow we have, you can see there's different layers. You have the image, see what the mouth does. You have the tongue inside actually. So you have these images, the textures on your mesh. You can go ahead and color these and brush these like as you want inside the application. So that's fairly useful. What I also like is being able to export some of these images. So you have the default image, you could export this, and then you can save it and edit the image in Photoshop or any image editing software you like. You can see how the texture is aligned to the mesh on this side. Iris, there's a default image. That's a good way to completely change how you look editing the eye image. So if you're good with drawing anime eyes, maybe that's a good part where you can edit. There's a highlight, you have shadow parts, and the skin. You have the texture for the features of the face, but you do have an easy way to change the base tone. And then you have eyelashes. Eye lines down here. So the eye line is actually the lines right above the eye. And because of the default features, many of the characters tend to look the same, but you're able to change it using these options. Let's try going to the hair part. The hair is what they say is making character creation the easiest, because you can start with basically a bald head and you can start growing hair on it. So they do have presets. Export as preset, import. So until you import any, I've clicked it but nothing happened. Hair groups. So I did this before on this character. Once you start drawing the hairs in, you get a group of the hair in objects. And so shift right click is rotate. I don't know why the face part didn't let us do that, but I'm able to do that now on the hair part. So shift right click, rotate it around, and you can see each chunk of hair. That's probably not an excellent shape, but what you do is you grab a brush, you have the select brush tool, and let's see if we can add a new piece of hair in here. So you click from the base of the head and you can start curving it how you want, and it will maintain itself inside this hair area inside your group. So that big chunk of hair there, let's see if we can change things. Let's select that first. Look from the front. Okay, a little bit of lag. So we got this big chunk of hair drooping down from the left side of the head. Are we seeing a difference? Highlighted position, width. Okay, so once you get some highlight, width is basically how you want the strands inside that chunk of hair to look like. Okay, so you can have the base color, highlight. So I have a darker base color with a light brown highlight on that. You can even offset that texture. Position. Let's see if... So you can draw with the mouse and also reposition that by different parameters. Twist. Okay, you can give it a whole twist thing going on. And then more intervals. See what this smoothness does. Depending on the mesh, you might have a little choppy thing going on, but you can also smooth that out in the smoothness. Cross sections, you can let it be different forms. Maybe diamond is the best. Probably depends on really the shape that you want to use. Curve. Fluffy. Straight. Squid. So the ends, maybe that's what it's changing when it's curving. Retouch. So retouch mode is using that brush and modifying existing ones. So once you have these here, you're able to change it a little more using the retouch, or even using the control points. So you can see the vectors, basically the center line of these hair strands. Let's see if we can delete this. It says hair 1. You can hide it, and we can also delete it. You can also clone these or flip them. So maybe if you want a pattern going on, I think that's one way to do it too. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to keep what I had before. You can see maybe I have 60 strands going around the head on top of a basic kind of a short hair character. Okay, let's see what the bones have. Brushed hairs 21. So that became its own rig. I guess that's what's happening. Textures. So that's the texture of the hair. It's basically reusing this texture all over your hair strands. Unless you want to change that, I think that's okay for it. Next, let's go to body editor. So here, again, you can go into each of them, but once you're on the all, you're able to see all the parameters. So I just keep it on the all. Body, zooming out. Shift right click, you're able to rotate here too. So you can check it on all the angles. You have shortness and tallness. So shortness, of course, makes you smaller. Tallness makes you taller. So if you want taller, you can make taller. And what you can see is it's the body. So if you make your character taller, the head size remains the same. So basically you're creating new proportions in regards to the head. Shoulder broadness, torso, arm, foot size, leg size. Okay, you have basically everything. Head width. Okay, so here you can actually change kind of the overall width of your head. Oh, and you do have the head size, so yes, you can get big. So go ahead and play around with those. I kind of ended up with this kind of balance. And let's try the next clothing editor. A dress. And before, on the male character, you weren't able to choose a dress rig, but now you can. And what I did was I chose the uniform and use that mesh, and I edited the texture. So let's look at what the default is. So the preset uniform looks like this. Let's see what they have in here. So these are fairly new too. So you can choose these default presets. So the dress is nice because you get a lot more mesh, and it has a rig in the skirt portion, so when you're moving your character around, the dress actually moves around depending on how good that application is interacting with these objects. More options is better because as long as you have the mesh, you can edit them and add transparency and basically cut out and make things look like how you want. Unfortunately, you're not able to edit that mesh, so you have to use one of these presets. So t-shirt is cool. You have that white t-shirt. I think that tie is coming from the uniform, and it's probably under a different category. So you can use this t-shirt, and for example, being able to edit the t-shirt, let's say go to texture, and here we are. So here you can find the t-shirt texture. You can go ahead and export that or draw on top of this t-shirt here. If you're new to 3D modeling, you're able to see where the polygons are. So you can tell that some parts are going to be stretched out and others are going to be squeezed. So here you can actually see that get applied in real time. I can draw a straight line across a t-shirt and it's not going to look exactly straight on the person. So you can see it curved around this way. I can try to draw a circle here. and that's what it's gonna look like. So it's a wider circle on the texture, but when you look at the character, especially from the front, you can tell it's not the same shape. So this is a good way to first export the texture and kind of lay things out. Maybe I want a cool wave pattern like this. I want this part, for example, this third wave, I want it to look more smaller. So on the front, the actual t-shirt. So I can kind of give myself a draft here and later export this version also and use your kind of the draft version as a tracing point to create the final design on your Photoshop. Why I say that is my character, let's go back to the design and uniform edited, you can actually see some triangular kind of mesh sticking out here. That's because I started with the uniform. I used this outline, this mesh, and I exported the texture and edited it, recolored everything, and made my own uniform. So that's what it ended up looking like. And what took the most time was that this part of the chest actually has several polygons that kind of move things around a lot. So when I ended up putting a logo here, it needs to read right, it needs to look correctly as a logo. It wasn't just copy and paste a logo in this chest position. See if we can make this panel bigger. So you can move these gray bars around. I'm just going to try to open that a little bit more. And as you can see, this logo, this 2D texture, you can see that triangle shape, the font, and the text had to be modified a lot to make it look nice on this actual uniform. And I actually own this uniform, and it has some color here, so I added that in. And it kind of looks pretty cool if you look at it outside. But if you look really closely, you can tell that, yes, he's wearing an invisible vest. Accessories, none. So there's nothing here. I think these are things that you can start adding once you purchase them from the VRoid hub. So I talk about the clothing part a lot more because something that you can distinguish yourself from others. And if you use the t-shirt and the uniform, it's basically the same shape, but what other VTubers are doing, they're using the one piece or the dress and using the alpha textures, making transparency, so they're cutting parts out of the dress and making sure they're adding little neat little features in their dress like straps, but maintaining the whole design within this overall template or mesh. So if you use this dress, I think the female character might have an even longer one. If you start with this one, you have at least much more range to play with compared to a t-shirt. To show you what the base model looks like. So you do have the naked body that you can adjust, and it's probably something good to look at to kind of keep your skin tones consistent. So actually hoodie, this is new, I've never seen this before. Oh, and then they do have 4 dresses. There's the long, short sleeve, okay, dress, long sleeve, shorter sleeve, and long sleeve. Okay, I don't know what you call these, but you do get options. Normal vest. Oh, and the long sleeve. Long sleeve is nice too. Basically, you get more to play around with. So let's give him pants. That's under clothing. Uniform pants. 1. I don't see a difference between these 3. So the male character only has 3 pants. Shoes. There are several different kinds of shoes. So let's try going to the next general editor mode. This is regarding lighting. So how much lighting and the strength of it you're getting around the hair and around the body. If you don't need to be that shiny, I guess, you can take that out. I guess this is the direction towards the camera. And finally, you have the camera and exporter. Once it's exported as a VRM file and you import it to different applications, you'll be able to use it as you want to in basically each program. But here you can actually test the parameters. So there are the smile and different expressions, making sure it looks okay. You can actually give this a background, and you can use this application itself to make your own character, maybe even give it a green back like this, and pose your character inside VRoid. So there are many other third-party tools to import your character and make things, but you can already start here by grabbing pictures. Okay, so I just made this window bigger. Let's go ahead and zoom out, move him to the middle. And if you have some posing and you want to put him in a background image that you already have, then this is kind of a good starting point. It's a good way to test and also just use it as an image to compose later. Let's give him maybe a joy, more joy, I guess, and give him a pose. So there are a lot of poses that you can already test here. Running. And you know the rig's gonna be good because this is one of the best character model 2 VRM applications out there. Being it free and having all this rigged up for you is very convenient. He's kicking. Let's stop him at this frame. And maybe you want to use this in a promotion that you're going to do for your fighting game. And maybe he is a high school student fighter in your game. So you can go ahead and capture that and save it wherever you want and take it into your favorite photo editing application and compose them into your poster. So the lighting, of course, in any kind of virtual environment will impact the way it looks. Anti-aliasing, you can let that choppiness of the texture go away, but it does make things a little more blurrier. Blooming, color grading, comic. That's interesting. So you can make it look 2D even after you made that 3D character. And that's the image capture exporting size. So right now it's on good full HD quality, but if you need, you can go higher. And finally, this is where you're going to export your own VRM character. If you click export, you can write your information because VRM helps you with your character right management. So put in your name, author, contact information that is reasonable for you to share to public because people will see that. And what you can choose is who can use your character. Are you the only one that can use it, or are you sharing this to everybody and they have the rights to do the following? And there are different types of expressions, of course, that can be used with virtual characters. And are you going to allow people to do that? You can actually set these so you're the only author, and when somebody does use your character, you're able to take action and make sure people are not using them. Creators want more rights and control over what they create. VRoid, you can create a fairly customized, but they do tend to look similar, but you can always use this character how you want it to and making sure it has the right licensing information. Make sure you're going to the file save and save as you go. Go ahead and look at the other features too. There's upload to VRoid, so if you have an account and connecting it, you're able to share your character. Let's quit and I'm going to reopen the app again to show you some of the advanced kind of characters that VRoid is providing as samples. I'm going to take a look at one of these newer ones. So you can see while it's loading that their shape is the same. But using different textures, you're going to get a lot different results. That's where you can kind of kick in your creativity. So there's the character. The design is quite nice. They use kind of this blue and floral kind of accents to the skirt part. I think what's unique also is how they design the hair. It's asymmetrical and different colors. So let's see how they did that. Go to the hair editor. You have different hair strands. Let's click this one. So you have the base color, shade color and the highlights. This one says shade color is also blue, but depending on where you let that shade cross across the head, that's kind of the result they're getting. To make hair pieces, this is the cool part. So remember, these are just mesh that you can draw in, and what they did is actually created a little hair piece here, made it white with a dark metallic highlight, and they made 3 pieces that made it look like a clip. Okay, so you can see they made 3 little strands of hair to make that look like a metallic clip on the hair. That is a very cool way to kind of customize your character also. So definitely go ahead and try, get creative and make some cool stuff with VRoid. After this, I'm gonna go ahead and use the one I made. Next time, I'll go ahead and show you how to import a VRM character into, for example, a motion capturing application and using VR devices to move your characters. So I hope you enjoyed this introduction. It's kind of a basic way to start doing kind of virtual characters and playing around with them in virtual environments. Definitely try it out. If you like anime, if you like voice acting, definitely take a look at this. It's free, there's nothing to lose. And stay tuned and we'll get you more information about how to do these things on your own or with a team that's interested in doing VTuber stuff. Thank you and see you next time.